All right, so today we're going to be reacting to Young Don's video of don't get me twisted on this, but I'm just gonna say a Chinese guy who's very popular nowadays. I can't pronounce his name, so I don't want to butcher his name. But we're going to react into his video. So let's let the video play out.
Used. And I'm 100% confident
100.
that nukes will not be used at this time in this war. And if I'm wrong, I apologize to the world, okay?
Hey, I think if you're wrong, we'll have bigger things to worry about. Yeah. I think we'll have bigger, more pressing things to worry about than telling Professor Jiang, told you so, you were wrong, they did destroy everything.
Yeah, so definitely I think that if he's wrong, obviously, we be in nuclear fallout. So most definitely I think he would not have to worry about people getting it wrong or anything. So I definitely agree with this take. So let's let the video play out.
We're going to be taking a look at a clip from his most recent lecture where he is going to discuss the 3 questions that will decide the fate of the world. Now, I think this is a man worth listening to, or at least hearing out, because he accurately predicted that Donald Trump was going to win the 2024 election, but then he predicted that once elected president, he would go to war with Iran. And then he even predicted that America would lose the war to Iran. And if we just take a look at what's going on, it would seem as if that's the direction we're moving in. The New York Times, the Wall Street Journal have both reported on the fact that Donald Trump is actively looking for an off-ramp where this war is concerned. He is having conversations with Netanyahu. He is having conversations with Israel. Israel does not want the war to end. Trump, he wants.
So let's take it right there. So Israel does not want the war to end. I believe that we are in this space because of Israel. 100%, 1000%. I believe honestly that we're here. We're here because of Israel. And our troops are dying because of Israel. A lot of Americans believe that we are under the state of Israel. We are the United States of Israel, so to speak. So, I don't necessarily, disagree with this take because that's how we've been since the 1980s. All the presidents since the 1980s, we are under the state of Israel. So, but let's let the video play out.
The war to end Israel, they want to achieve their maximalist objectives, the same maximalist objectives that were articulated by the American government when this war began, none of which we have achieved. And that's exactly why, if we were to pull out now, America would have lost this war, at least from a strategic point of view. And if that's the direction we go in, which seems to be the direction that Trump really wants to go, that means Professor Jiang would be 3 for 3 for all of his predictions. So this is clear.
Professor Jiang being 3 for 3, I believe that 1, he predicted that Trump was going to get elected. 2, he predicted that that we would go to war with Israel. And 3, he projected that we would lose the war to Israel, but it's not in a way that y'all think. So let's let the video play out.
Really a man who knows his shit. Well, let's go ahead and investigate further and see The 3 questions that will decide the fate of the world. Let's go ahead and dive in.
We continue our analysis of the U.S.-Iran war. And in this war, there are 3 major questions that will determine the outcome of this war, as well as the world afterwards.
All right.
Okay, and these 3 questions are, number 1, will the U.S. launch a ground invasion?
Okay, right.
So right now, the United States and Israel are primarily focused on a air war,
Right.
striking Iran from a distance. In the past, we would call this siege warfare. And as long as it remains an air war, the United States can choose to de-escalate and withdraw from the Middle East.
Right.
They would lose this war, but the loss would not be catastrophic.
Right.
Whereas if they choose to launch a ground invasion, it would escalate very quickly, and they would be trapped in Iran for the next 5 to 10 years. It would be a catastrophe whether or not they win or lose.
Right. And obviously that's what Trump is trying to avoid. This is a man obsessed with legacy. He is doing everything and anything he can to place his name in the history books. He wants to be remembered as an amazing president. He wants to be remembered as a great president. And so I would say within modern history, George W. Bush is considered the worst president in recent American history. And that's primarily because of the Iraq War.
Okay, so let's stop it right there. So I don't necessarily disagree with his take. President Bush was heavy scrutinized after everything that has coincided with the Iraq War. You know, a lot of stuff came out afterwards that, you know, there were no weapons of mass destruction over there. So essentially, Young Dong is saying that, you know, President Trump is saying, well, this is the same thing. We believe that Iran has, you know, weapons of mass destruction, but at the end of the day, there has been no evidence for that. There has been no evidence for chemical weapon warfare or anything like that. So, let alone nuclear. So, I think that's what he's essentially saying, that Trump is the second president to again propagate to the citizens of America that, hey, you know, we're in another weapons of mass destruction war, which we are not. But let's let the video play out.
Well, if Trump does this, if he sends a ground invasion, it goes terribly, we're trapped there for 5 to 10 years, he will now replace Bush as being the worst president ever.
Because in order to fight a ground war, the United States would have to institute a national draft where a young man, as young as 18, would be forced to join the army and be sent to fight in Iran, okay? So that's the first big question for us. Will the United States send in ground troops? And remember, there's the idea of mission creep, where maybe in the beginning you're like, I'll send out 1,000 troops to do a small mission. But then it doesn't go well.
Some water
so you send
in there
2,000,
for
okay?
sure.
It slowly creeps up.
Yeah.
What we call mission creep.
Wow.
That's how the United States enrolled itself in Vietnam.
Send the MAGA boys. Send the MAGA boys. Send the children of the MAGA voters. Send the MAGA boys.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, MAGA, where you at? You know, send your children. Send MAGA, where you at? Weren't you the ones that are like, yo, no DEI? I want no DEI. I want no nothing. I don't want no nothing in our military. Send the MAGA boys. You know what I'm saying? Where y'all at? Send the MAGA boys. I don't want no DEI. We just want merit. merit. Everything's got to do with merit. So, okay, well, send your sons, send your daughters. Where you at? Where you at? Send your sons, send your daughters. Send your sons, send your daughters. Where you at? Where you at, MAGA? MAGA, this is your opportunity to fight for your country. Where are you at? Go ahead and enlist. Go ahead and say, hey, I want to go to Iran. I want to go and X all these people. Where you at? I serve my country. Your turn. Where you at? Where you at? I'm just saying.
I mean, of course, we don't want a DEI military, right? We don't want a DE. We want people who can actually get the job done, competent, intelligent, young white men. So send the MAGA boys. Let them get it done.
All right, so that's the first big question. Second big question is...
I can't go. I'm 31, nigga. Draft ends at 27. So I'm good.
Will nukes be used? There's a lot of concern online that Israel is preparing a nuclear strike on Iran because the Israelis don't like how the war is going, and they want to reclaim the initiative. Nukes are a taboo in geopolitics.
Yeah.
The Americans used them at the end of World War II, and no one's used them ever since.
Right.
If Israel were to use tactical nuclear weapons, they would break this universal taboo, and we might find ourselves in a nuclear apocalypse, okay?
Wow.
So that's a great concern that everyone has right now.
Yeah.
And the third question is the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Yeah.
This is the third...
I mean, if we start dropping nukes, that's it. Game over. The world is over, bro.
I mean, that's obvious, right? If we start dropping nukes, then clearly, you know, we bypassed everything that the world has, you know, come to agreement with and everything. So if I thought that we're going to send nukes, but if Israel sends nukes, well, then if Israel sends nukes, then this person's going to send nukes, and that person's going to send nukes, and that person's going to send nukes. So I highly doubt that we are actually going to go into a nuclear fallout because of all this. But let's let the video play out.
Holiest site in the Islamic world. There's Mecca, there's Medina, and there's the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The Muslims believe that it is from the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem where Muhammad ascended to heaven. And the Jews believe that the Al-Aqsa Mosque sits on the site of their temple, which is the house of God.
Right.
So religious Jews, extremists, want to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque to rebuild the third temple.
Of course. Right.
And
so it all has something to do, the third temple. Why do these Jews need the third temple? And it just so happens to be in the Middle East, or, you know, not necessarily the Middle East, but Iran, you know, Iran and all this stuff. And they have to try and convince us, which is the U.S., that, hey, you know, we need this place gone, we need that place gone. I mean, come on now. I mean, does this all have to do with like religion? I mean, just think about this shit. What the fuck are we? Who are we serving? Who are we serving here? Come on, let's let the video play out though.
if the religious Jews, the extremists, destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque, then the 2 billion Muslims in this world would be religiously obligated to go to war against Israel.
Great.
Okay? So these are the three big questions.
Nice.
That
Don't you love it when people don't you love it when people take fairy tales a little too seriously?
Yeah. True.
Oh God.
will determine how this war will determine the future of the world. Okay, so in this class, I teach you game theory to make predictions about the future. So right now, I'm gonna make 3 predictions. And then I will show you.
If people could just keep religion within the confines of personal individual ethics, right? Like your own individual code of ethics. No, bro, very few people would have a problem with religion. I would never say anything negative about it.
That's definitely true. He was about to say, I'd never say anything negative about religion. If you keep the confines of your religion to yourself and your code of ethics to yourself and how you move around to yourself, no one would be bothered by it. But it's the fact that you just have to bring it out to other people. Yo, Christianity, Judaism, Catholicism, atheism. You have to just bring it out to other people and preach it to other people. That's where it becomes an issue. But let's let the video play out.
Religion. And it's like, hey, man, I got my own mental model that I use to navigate life. People might think it's bullshit, right?
Yep.
I call it my own version of spirituality. It's working out very well for me. But I don't impose it on others. I don't, consider it sin if somebody does something differently. It's fine. It's just my own way of navigating life. Like, if people could just do that with their religion, everybody could get along. You could believe in whatever fucking story you want to believe in. But it's when people are trying to impose this shit on other people and bring it into the real world and write laws based on it. This is when it becomes a problem.
My analysis.
And I totally agree with that. Once you bring everything in and write laws into that shit, which is what like a lot of Democrats are, trying to do, bring laws and stuff, religion and stuff to actual law. I don't think that's right. I don't think that you should be doing that stuff. But, let's let the video play out.
As to how I make these predictions, okay? Now, what's important to understand is that these are only my guesses based on my analysis. And whether or not they turn out to be correct will determine the validity of my analysis. I don't have inside information. I don't know more than you do, okay? I'm just working out of public knowledge and doing game theory analysis. So according to game theory, this is yes. The United States will send in ground troops.
Okay.
According to game theory, this is no. And number 3 is
all right,
yes.
That's good.
Okay?
Oh,
so
all right.
What I'm going to do is spend the next 2 classes explaining to you my game theory analysis as to how I come to these conclusions. And we can watch how world events unfold. Now, I want you to understand something, which is that for my theory to be valid, for my analysis to be valid, I have to be correct on all 3. Okay?
Right.
If I miss one, then all my theory is wrong.
Well, so far it looks like you about to be 3 for 3, my boy. So let's hear it.
I know there's a lot of concern from around the world that nukes will be used. And I'm 100% confident
100?
that nukes will not be used at this time in this war. And if I'm wrong, I apologize to the world, okay?
Hey, I think if you're wrong, we'll have bigger things to worry about. Yeah. I think we'll have bigger, more pressing things to worry about than telling Professor Jiang, told you so, you were wrong, they did destroy everything.
Yeah, 100%. If he's wrong, then we're all fucked. We all are probably most likely dead. Especially, me living near a prominent USA military base. So I would definitely be gone. So yeah. But let's let the video play out.
At the same time, we'll all be dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me explain my analysis, okay? So remember, today, what I'm going to do is do number 1 and number 2, explain to you why Israel will not use nuclear weapons and why there will be a ground invasion. And then next class, I'll explain number 3 to you, okay? That's a plan for this week. All right. So to understand what's going on,
just before he explains why they won't use nukes, let me just give my short pitch why I don't think they'll use nukes, because this world is ran by the billionaire elite, and their underground bomb shelters cannot prevent them from a nuclear apocalypse. And even if it could, they don't want to live in the world where they're now living in the aftermath of a nuclear apocalypse. And so they will kill whoever they need to stop the nukes from going off, bro, because they don't want to live in that world. They want a world of slaves that will work for them while they live their lives of luxury. They don't want to live in fucking fallout, bro.
So I don't necessarily agree with his take. Yes, ideal, or I guess on paper, you got to have, your higher ups, and then you got to have your workers and everything like that. But I don't necessarily agree with that take. I personally believe that we are going to pull out of this war because it just simply costs too much. It costs way too much to fight these people. And the fallout, and I'm not talking about nuclear fallout, but like the fallout that we're having today, with the higher gas prices, the higher oil prices. Remember, oil has a lot to do with how stuff is made. Furniture is made, merchandise is made. All this stuff is that, all your stuff like that, all your stuff on Amazon is getting more expensive now because oil's, higher and stuff like that. So I think that messing with Iran is going to have a bigger effect on our economy than anything, to be honest. And once it has a bigger effect on our economy, not only is going to affect the Trump regime and how people perceive Trump, because Trump has a lot to do with the Epstein files and all this and all that, and what was not released, what was released, and all this, and now you have this war and stuff like that. So I think that they have a foothold on the actual economy, not only our economy, but the whole GCC. The whole, what is it? Saudi Arabia, Jordan, I can't remember off the top of my head all the GCC, but all the Gulf republics and everything who we have U.S. bases on. Think about every country that we have U.S. bases on in the Middle East right now. All of them are affected right now. So they want this war to stop more than anything, and they're pressuring Donald Trump, which is our president right now, to stop this war. So I think that we will pull out this war because it's just simply too much to cost. But that's just me.
In military affairs, in geopolitics, there's a concept called escalation ladder. The dominant theory is that whoever has escalation dominance has the most advantage. Okay, so what this means is, let's just say you and I get in a fight, okay? I have a knife, you have a gun. Well, a gun is more dominant than a knife. Therefore, you have a greater advantage over me, and therefore you should win, in theory, okay?
So he's saying that the knife is Iran and the gun is us, the U.S. So let's see how it plays out. But Young Don's about to give his take.
Right.
And applied to this war in the Middle East, Israel and the United States have escalation dominance because they have nuclear weapons.
Right.
And Iran doesn't. Therefore, the United States and Israel have a huge advantage over Iran. Okay? But what I will show you today is that this theory is incorrect. It actually doesn't work that way. Let's just say that two people get into a fight, okay? A and B. And how the escalation ladder will work is that maybe A and B run into each other, okay? And then A says, hey man, say sorry. And then B's like, it's not my fault, you say sorry, okay? So there's a conflict, and it's usually a very small conflict. No one knows why, and no one knows who's at fault, okay? So they start cursing each other, okay? So the first step is a conflict. Second step is they start cursing each other, right?
Start cursing each
Screw
other.
you. Screw you. And then they might start pushing each other, right?
Right. Yep.
Push, push. And then they hit each other, okay?
Okay.
Punch,
Punch.
punch. And then they start the fight. And then one pulls out a knife, and the other pulls out a gun. All right, and then B shoots dead. Hey, fight over, right?
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so there are certain things that we need to keep in mind about this example. First of all, the fight is not contained in itself, okay? You cannot perceive this game as just one between A and B, who's physically stronger. There are other players involved as well. Okay, so for example, there are spectators or friends.
Right.
There's a crowd watching you, okay? In other words, it is impossible to skip the escalation ladder, right? You don't go from like, hey, screw you, to like the guy pulling out a gun and shooting you.
Well, it depends. Depends where you are, I think. Some neighborhoods, I think it goes that fast, but hey.
Okay? You have to go step.
That's definitely y'all should know. I'm from Chicago. Y'all know that it escalates a little bit faster than that, and sometimes you don't even need anything to say. Sometimes it's just a look. So, but all y'all know who from Chicago, y'all should know. Y'all should know how that is. But let's let the video play out.
By step. Because adrenaline is rushing in your system. And this adrenaline, it's making you more angry, but it's also making you stronger and more resolved. And it's also telling you how to fight this battle.
Right.
Okay? And the thing to remember about this is really important, is that it's not about how fast you climb up the escalation ladder. Okay? If you get too angry and you overreact, then you are at fault, right?
Right. Right. Yes.
What you want to do is climb it up strategically. And that means you have to remain calm and controlled.
Okay.
If you remain calm and controlled, you have 3 advantages over your opponent. And this is a very important idea in my game theory model. Control is more important than dominance. Okay?
Control is more important than dominance, man. Hold on. Let's see what he's cooking up right now. Let's see what he's cooking up.
Control is more important than dominance. Why? Because control is the idea of calibration. Calibration means that
So basically, it sounds like he's going in the direction of there will never come an instance where Israel and America can justify to the rest of the world, the global superpowers, why it nuked Iran. Like, Iran is never going to do anything that warrants murdering millions of their tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of their people, right? Well, they only have like, 90 million people, I think, right? Something like that. So, tens of millions of their people.
I think that Young Don's going to a little bit of the extreme on all this, but, you know, the point is still the same. America has to justify, if they were to nuke, you know, why they did essentially kill tens of millions of Iranians, civilians who had nothing to do with nothing, essentially for nothing. So I think that's what young Donald is trying to do, or trying to comprehend right now. But let's let the video play out and let's see what happens.
All right, so another way of saying this is that calibration is ultimately about strategic flexibility. And the idea of strategic flexibility is, in a fight, the person who has the most options, the person who has the most flexible strategy will usually win the fight, okay? There's a law of escalation, and I'll explain to you how this applies to the US-Iran war.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
This is the US, this is Iran. Okay, so let's look at their escalation ladder. So the first thing the United States does, of course, is something called decapitation. What is decapitation? Decapitation is like, I just kill your leaders, you don't have any more leaders, and therefore you don't know what to do, and therefore you surrender, okay? Mm-hmm. That's the first thing the US did. It didn't work.
No.
So now what the United States is doing is attacking military targets, air defense, and military bases, okay? That's the second step. And the idea is that you beat the crap out of the military so they surrender. But that didn't work either, okay?
No.
So then what you do next, of course, is economic embargo, where you basically prevent Iran from trading with the world.
But
right?
That's not working though, right? They're actually selling more oil now than they were before the war started.
And that's actually true. Iran is selling more oil now than that they were before the war started. They're making more money as a country now through oil alone than before the war started. That is a 100% irrefutable fact.
Prevent Iran from selling oil to China, basically, by blockading the seas.
Right.
And the idea here is that if the government doesn't have any money to pay its soldiers will just not fight, okay? But that's not working either. So then what you do, of course, is you attack civilian infrastructure, okay? Which is primarily water.
Yeah.
And
they did do that. They attacked their desalination plant.
Oil. So you may have seen the news that the Israelis attacked an oil depot in Tehran. Mm-hmm. And now if you
So tell me why America or Israel is attacking Iran's desalination plant when that is used to give fresh water to the Iranian people. Why are you attacking the people? Isn't that a war crime? I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like these people have nothing to do with the war. They're not necessarily attacking the United States or Israel or anything, but you bombed their desalination plant. That has to be answered as to why they did that in the first place.
Look at a picture of Tehran, it's all black, okay? And this is a war crime, or this goes against international law because you're attacking civilians.
Yes.
That's what you do.
War criminals, truly.
When you feel as though you need to apply more pressure to win this war, okay? And so you can keep on escalating. And then what you do is that now that you've attacked the civilians and they still refuse to surrender, what you do now is you use secret weapons.
Secret weapons.
Secret weapons might be advanced missiles that no one's ever seen before, okay? And the point of these secret weapons is to scare the crap out of people and say, you see how dominant we are, okay? If that doesn't work, then what you do next is use biological and chemical weapons, okay? Biochemical weapons.
Wow.
Doesn't work either?
True.
Then, guys, nuclear weapons.
Wait, no ground invasion?
Right.
Where's the ground invasion at?
What's really important for us to understand is that you must follow this escalation ladder if you are to use nuclear weapons. And the reality is that, first of all, we have not seen secret weapons. We have not seen biochemical weapons, and therefore nuclear weapons comes later, okay? Unless I see biochemical weapons being used, I refuse to believe that nuclear weapons is on the table, okay? All right, so I think we are here, which is the beginning of attacks on civilian infrastructure. But already we're seeing arguments in the American political system against the use of weapons against civilians, okay? The reason why is that if you do this, okay, if you destroy civilian infrastructure, you unite the people behind the government. Because the idea is that you use airstrikes to split apart the government and the people, and you want the people to overthrow the government for you, okay? That's the idea here. So we are at this stage, meaning that we have a long way to go before we hit nuclear weapons, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, which I don't think we are going to either.
Iranian.
Because even though the Iranian government has slaughtered its own people, women and children shot up. I've seen pictures, I've seen videos. I know there are some reports of tens of thousands of people. That hasn't been verified, but you know, you can't cope through this shit, man. I know I have some Muslim viewers. You have to learn to accept the fact that this ideology is not, you know what I'm saying? Not everyone practices it the way you practice it, man. There's a reason why so many people were celebrating, so many Iranians were celebrating the death of the Ayatollah, because he was a vicious monster, and his son is no different. However, they were targeting protesters. They weren't just killing people indiscriminately. Now,
Yeah, so that's a big difference, is they were targeting protesters who weren't pro-Israel. And I know to Americans that is like, yo, why would you do that? You know, we got freedom of speech over here. We got freedom of protest and everything. But at the end of the day, you Republicans don't. Y'all hate people who choose the opposite side of you, who protest the opposite side of you. And the same for Democrats. Y'all hate the people who choose the opposite side of you. You know, so y'all wish death on both sides, on the people who choose the opposite side of you. And that's a fact. That's a straight fact. Y'all would seriously go to war with each other just off the strength of what you saw on a YouTube video or a Reddit video or a Reddit page or a TikTok video. That's a fact. But let's let the video play out.
I believe murdering protesters is evil. We thought that what was done to Renee Good and Alex Purdy was evil. But you know what's even worse is destroying their desalination plants. When America does that, it's not targeting anybody. It's saying we don't give a fuck who dies.
Yes.
We don't care if children die.
No.
We don't care if pregnant women
no.
die. We don't care if mothers die. We
no.
don't care if innocent people die.
No.
People might have even been supportive of the American cause. We don't care if you die.
No.
We want you all dead. We don't give a fuck.
All
That's
dead.
What it takes to win this.
That's crazy. That's crazy, isn't it?
And then when they bomb their oil
that's
fields,
mental, isn't it?
Carcinogenic, toxic fumes into the air, painting the sky black for weeks on end, if not months on.
I mean, think about what he's saying. Isn't that crazy? We don't care if these people die who have nothing to do with nothing. Would you care if Americans died that had nothing to do with nothing? Yeah, I bet you would. I bet you would. I bet you would. But yet, you don't care if Iranians die. But you do care if Americans die the same exact way. That's hypocrisy at its finest. And I'm talking to you, and you know exactly who I'm talking to.
And we're saying we don't give a fuck if you all get sick and if you all die and if you starve to death. We don't care.
Yup.
And so at that point, the authoritarian, totalitarian, theocratic government now seems like the better people. It's like, shit, yeah, it's really fucked up that y'all were killing people for protesting, but at least if we kept our heads down and didn't participate in that, I was able to feed myself and, you know, take care of my family. And so this is why when they attack these civilian infrastructures, it turns the people towards the government and makes them like the government.
Exactly.
So what's happening is that in the beginning, Iran does two major things, okay? The first is attack military targets, okay? And what they're basically targeting are U.S. radar systems and air defenses. Because once these two things go, then Iran can attack whatever it wants, okay? It's also close to Strait of Hormuz.
Which they've done both, by the way. They've done both.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And by closing the Strait of Hormuz, you put pressure on the economies of the GCC, as well as East Asia. The hope is that...
What I told you earlier, it's gonna put pressure on the GCC. The GCC is what? Saudi Arabia, Jordan, all the other Muslim countries around the area. It's gonna put pressure. Yo, Trump, stop this war because it's fucking with our bottom line. It's fucking with us. Stop this war, Trump. It's fucking with us. That is what our Middle Eastern allies are screaming. It is fucking with our bottom line. Period. It's fucking with our bottom line. Straight up.
By blockading the economies, the GCC, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait will put pressure on Donald Trump to end this war as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Also, East Asia receives most of its oil from the GCC, from the Strait of Hormuz, right? So China gets about 40% of its oil. Japan gets 75%. That's a lot of oil. So the hope is that these countries will put pressure on the United States to end this war as soon as possible.
Not only the Gulf, but the Asian countries, Taiwan, Japan. Yo, they're like, our shit's getting fucked up because y'all are going into this bullshit ass war. You're going into this war with Israel. Stop doing this because it's fucking with our bottom line. I mean, listen, y'all. Are y'all listening? Come on now, listen.
Possible, okay?
Right.
So that is the Iranian strategy. But if they're forced to go up the escalation ladder, what will happen is this. If you attack their economy, they will attack your economy as well, okay? With missiles. Basically targeting oil fields.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If you attack their civilian infrastructure, they will attack your civilian infrastructure as well. And what is the main weakness in these GCC countries?
Water.
Desalination plants,
Right.
okay? Desalination plants. And that's it, okay? That's the extent of the Iranian escalation ladder. Because it doesn't have nuclear weapons. It doesn't have biochemical weapons. Okay? It doesn't have intercontinental missiles that it can target the United States with.
I'm not gonna lie, this guy seems a little bit flamboyant. You know what I'm saying? But, let's let the video play out, though.
So, as you can see, the US and Israel have escalation dominance because they can go way up higher in the escalation ladder than Iran. But that's the wrong way to understand this, okay? Because if you look at their strategies, Iran has much more flexibility, much more calibration than the United States, okay? When the United States attacks you, it's pretty blunt. But look, if I close off the Strait of Hormuz, I can be strategic in how I close the Strait of Hormuz. For example, if you're a Chinese ship, I'll let you pass. For example, if you are a GCC nation and you want to bribe me, if you want to pay me a tax, I'll let you pass as well.
Yes.
If you're a GCC nation and you're like, you know what, forget the United States, I want to be a friend of Iran, I'll let you pass as well.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So by closing on the Strait of Hormuz, it creates a calibration strategy. It allows...
So pretty much he's saying, if you're cool with Iran, we'll let you pass. That's essentially what Iran is saying right now. And that's essentially what Iran is doing right now. They're letting you pass if you're cool with Iran. I mean, I ain't going to, do the whole video right now, but that's essentially what it's saying, bro. I mean, Iran don't have nuclear weapons. They don't have, the chemical weapons and everything. But they are ready for a long fight. And they are killing us right now. They're killing us financially. They're killing us economically. But what do you guys think in the comments, man? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I would love to hear all of your comments, man. Because... I want to see what's going on. Damn, my dread's going in the way. But I want to know what your guys' thoughts on this, man. And, don't you guys want this to stop? Type in yes in the comments if you want it to stop. Type in 1 in the comments you want it to stop. No if you wanted to keep going. And just obliterate, Iran. So 1 in the comments if you wanted to stop, and 2 in the comments if you want to obliterate Iran. Let me know. This is Semper Zeke 75. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. And there's going to be more videos. I'm going to react to all the videos. Send me another video that you guys want me to react to, and I will react to it. Thank you. Again, stay safe out there. Please, don't do anything stupid. Peace and love. I love y'all.